Welcome back to Nation of Glory. Today we bring you a story of heart, of brotherhood, of dreams, and of one man's unbreakable spirit. This is the story of Mark Pugh, the man millions know better as Mark Briscoe, an American professional wrestler who turned passion into purpose, pain into power, and dreams into legacy. If you're ready for a story that will touch your heart and keep you hooked till the very end, then sit back because this one is for you. Mark Briscoe was born Mark Pugh on January 18, 1985 in Laurel, Delaware, a small quiet town where dreams felt far away but where two brothers decided that nothing was impossible. Mark and his older brother Jay Briscoe were inseparable from childhood. They were not born into fame or fortune. They were born into a family that worked hard, that believed in loyalty and in each other. Their father was a wrestling coach at the local high school, and from there the two brothers found their calling not on school mats but in the wild world of professional wrestling. The story began in the most humble of ways: two boys in a backyard jumping off trampolines, pretending to be their heroes, practicing wrestling moves and dreaming of hearing the roar of a crowd. One day they were just kids who refused to stop believing. It wasn't easy, but it was real. Their dream became their obsession, and that obsession became their destiny. In the year 2000, Mark made his in-ring debut at only 15 years old. Imagine that, a kid barely old enough to drive stepping into the ring facing grown men and holding his own. That's how fearless he was. Together with Jay, they formed a team that would go on to become one of the most successful tag teams in professional wrestling history, the Briscoe brothers. The Briscoe brothers weren't just wrestlers, they were warriors. They were chaos and beauty combined. Their chemistry in the ring was unmatched. Their moves flowed like poetry written in sweat and blood. They became the heart and soul of Ring of Honor, the place where legends are forged. They held the tag team championship a record 13 times, each time proving that their bond as brothers was their greatest strength. They took their fights beyond the borders of America to Japan, where they held the IWGP Tag Team Championship and twice the never openweight six-man tag team titles in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They weren't just local stars, they were international sensations. But greatness always comes with struggle. The Briscoes didn't have luxury or big contracts. In the beginning, they worked long days cutting grass and trimming trees for their lawn care business before hitting the road for weekend shows, 11-hour workdays, and then sleepless nights driving to arenas just to live their dream. When people talk about hard work, they should think of Mark and Jay Briscoe. Throughout their journey, they remained true to who they were: down to earth, funny, and fierce. Jay was the louder one, the outspoken leader. Mark, the wild soul, unpredictable, always ready to throw himself into the air or into a fight. Their matches became legendary, not just for what they did but for what they represented: family, loyalty, heart. Then came 2022, a new chapter. The Briscoe brothers joined Impact Wrestling and captured the Impact World Tag Team Championship for the first time. It was like life rewarding. Two veterans who had given everything to this sport, they were finally receiving the recognition that had been long overdue, and fans couldn't get enough. They were the heartbeat of tag team wrestling. And then the unthinkable happened. On January 17, 2023, Jay Briscoe was killed in a tragic car accident at only 38 years old. The wrestling world stood still. Messages poured in from across the globe. Fans, wrestlers, promoters, everyone who knew the Briscoes knew what that bond meant, and everyone's heart broke for Mark. Losing a brother, losing a tag team partner, losing half of your dream, it's something no one can prepare for. But here is where the story takes a turn that defines the man. Mark didn't stop. He didn't let grief destroy him. He chose to carry the legacy forward, to wrestle not just for himself but for his brother, for the promise they made as kids in that backyard. He returned to the ring weeks after Jay's passing, and when he looked up to the sky after his match, you could see the pain and the pride. He wasn't just wrestling anymore, he was telling a story of love, loss, and strength. In February 2023, Mark signed officially with All Elite Wrestling now and continued to compete in Ring of Honor, the place where the Briscoes became legends. He carried the name, the energy, the fighting spirit into every match, and the crowd felt it every time his theme played. Every time he stepped into the ring, it was like the presence of Jay was still there, standing beside him. The crowd knew it too. This was more than wrestling, this was healing. Mark's style in the ring is wild and fearless, a blend of power and high-flying ability that few can match. His signature moves, the cutthroat driver, the froggy bow, and the power supply, have become his trademarks. But what really defines him is not just his moves, it's his emotion. When he wrestles, he tells a story without words, a story of two brothers who promised to never give up. Outside the ring, Mark is a father, a husband, and a family man. He has 9 children and still lives in Delaware, on his land, where he raises his family and stays grounded while the world cheers for him. On TV, he remains that same boy from the backyard, except now he's the example that dreams can come true if you never give up. He often says that wrestling is not just a job, it's a way of life. It's a bond between performer and audience, a connection built on heart and effort, and he proves that every time he steps into the ring. Fans see him smile through pain, fight through tears, and rise from the ashes stronger than before. That's why people love Mark Briscoe, because he's real. And today the good news is that Mark is still doing what he loves. He's active in Owen Row and continues to honor his brother's memory through every match, every promo, every moment. He's living proof that pain can be turned into power and that love never truly dies. It just changes form. It lives on through action, through purpose, through legacy. When you look at Mark Briscoe, you see more than a wrestler. You see resilience, you see faith, you see a man who carries not just his own dream but the dream of his brother and his family. He's the reminder that no matter how hard life hits you, you can always stand up again. So what can we learn from this story? First, that where you come from doesn't define where you'll go. Second, that family is everything. Third, that loss can break you or it can make you stronger. And finally, that when you believe in something deeply enough, nothing can stop you. Mark Briscoe is proof of that. Picture him standing in the ring, the lights bright, the crowd roaring, the memory of his brother alive in every chant that echoes through the arena. He raises his arms, looks up at the sky and smiles because he knows his story isn't over, it's just beginning. And now as we close this story, I want to thank you for being with us today. If this story touched your heart, if you felt inspired, if you believe in fighting for what you love, then make sure to hit that like button, share this story with your friends, and subscribe to the Nation of Glory channel. Your support helps us bring more stories of strength, hope, and inspiration to people around the world. Thank you for watching this journey of Mark Briscoe, the man who turned pain into purpose and kept fighting when the world thought he couldn't. We'll be back soon with more stories that move your heart and lift your spirit. Until then, keep believing, keep dreaming, and keep fighting. This is Nation of Glory signing off. See you next time.